What's up, you guys? My name is Cyrus North, and welcome back to some more LEGO Arts. In the last episode, we did a showcase on Dunham, featuring Jeff Dunham and his whole crew. Now this time we are doing a showcase of Wave 4 of Bendy and the Ink Machine. And as you can see in the background, we are covering more of Chapter 4 this time. So this time we got Allison Angel, Tom, one of the Lost Ones, and one of the Searchers. And as you can see in the background, we got BATIM going over this time of as you know, like in each of my videos, I like to go with a background similar to each chapter. So this one, I chose to have Bertram. That way, he's incorporated to the group, and he's a bigger representation of chapter 4. So, as you guys know the whole drill, we're gonna take these guys one at a time, do a review on them, explain like my whole process, why I went with this route, and go from there. And here is a special deal for you guys. If I get a few comments that say that contain the quote hashtag Nightmare Run, then I will do a final Bendy Lego showcase featuring of getting the bosses from Nightmare Run and shortening them down to minifigure format. That is if you guys want to see that. Yeah, that sort of thing. But anyways, let's get the show on the road. Alrighty, and to kick things off with the video, of course, we got that's the true Alice Angel sent from above, Allison Angel, aka Allison Pendle. The second Alice Angel that we encounter towards the end of chapter 4. And I admit, out of like the other two Alice Angels, this one was a little bit more complicated to make. I had to look at a couple of photos, both front and back, to make sure that I got the outfit correctly. And outfit-wise, it was a little bit more tricky, because when doing a comparison with Susie, as you can see, they're both very different. For Susie's outfit, it was pretty simple. All I had to do was just put on black paint and bow tie, like front and back. For Allison, it was a little bit more complicated. I put the bow tie on, obviously. That was the easy part. But everything else was a little bit tricky as well. I applied on, like, the black, first the brown paint, for, like, the belt loops. Then I tried to do, like, the little belt buckle, a Sharpie to represent, like, each of the belt loops. A little pack at the side. I know there aren't, like, tools in it, but the way how the hand moves, there was no way that I could, like, stick miniature tools inside there. And still have, like, the hand be slightly bendable, because I can just about bend it to here. Other than that, I can't bend it any further. The hard parts, I think, would have to be the rope. Like the string that's on her. I could have just, like, hand-painted it, but, I kind of wanted to, but I wanted to make it a 3D element, and I kind of wanted to try something different. I didn't want to just, like, get, like, a small strand of molding clay and try to make it small enough so I could put it on the minifigure. Here, I wanted to try something different. So I took, like some string that I use for my archery bows, and first, obviously, I measured out, like, where the string would meet, and then once that was done, I glued it on, then carefully painted it brown, and full complete. And I know there are two string, and there are supposed to be, like, two ropes on her, but the way of how, like, the first one already wraps around the shoulder, there's not enough room to put a second one on, and still have, like, the arm be bendable, or have anything, like getting stuck on. So this was the best I could do, but I gotta say, this was pretty cool, and this was a pretty cool technique to try out. And I hope to do it again in the future. Her feet, the legs were pretty easy. All I had to do was just, like, get some plain black legs and paint on the belt buckles, or the strap buckles. I don't know what to call it. And of course here, the sword. The sword was a little bit tricky. Okay, I took like one of my spare, like, ninja swords from, like, Ninjago, and I carefully tried to cut off bits and pieces of it without accidentally breaking the sword. I managed to get it done, and once that was done, I was like, I can't touch it, whoops. Then, later on, I first painted on the hand. Actually, no, I think I first painted on the blade parts, then I painted on the handle, then I did detailing on the blade, and then put it on Allison, and it came out pretty good. The face, as you know, I am not an expert at making Lego faces. I tried to make the face look more like the one on the game. I got it to about this area, to about this point. I couldn't even make the eyes match up, which has always been a problem for me. So I was like, oh man, Okay, this is the best I can do, because otherwise I might damage the face. Might damage the head. The head will, like, way more. I'm hoping in the future I get better at faces. The arms are, like, black. The arm parts are just plain black. And black, but painted on the yellow. The hands, I don't remember what color the hands were. I think they were yellow, but painted on with black. The hairpiece, it was a little bit kind of tricky to do the hairpiece. I definitely had to look at a couple of photos, because I wasn't too sure if Allison just had, like, short hair, or if there was, like, more to it. But it turns out, yeah, she does have a ponytail. I did get the horns on, and as well as the headband. There were actually two different versions of it. Version 1 was that, like, the horns were on, but they were, like, directly on the headband, and that didn't, like, match up, so I went back, to fix it, and the second one came out much better. There. So this is the true Alice Angel sent from above. Like her and the cartoon version, they're the good ones. The ones that we like. Susie? No, we don't like Susie. You see, but this was definitely a pretty cool minifigure to make. And I'm glad I got to do it. Now then, let's move on to our next one. Okay, next up on our list is Tom, aka Thomas Connor. The second Boris, the second good Boris that we see at the end of chapter 4. And this one, it wasn't nearly as hard as making the brute Boris, but Tom definitely did have a couple of obstacles else to go through. The way how I, like, did the outfits was very similar to when I did, like, regular Boris. There you go, Boris. In fact, let me get him. Here you are, Boris. You're our B-man. And so, as you can see, like, a couple of similarities between the two. Obviously, like, their heads are not the same. I kind of wished that I could, like, replicate the head. That way I have, like, a constant head, but it didn't work out. But stuff like that's not really possible. And I didn't want to, like, take my cartoon Boris and just modify it already, because he's already, like, the way that I liked it, and I wanted to make a separate minifigure for Tom. So as you can see, like, he's holding up the gent pipe, which, if you recall, in the previous video, not previous video, but in Wave 3, featuring the Butcher Gang, this was the same gent pipe that I used, that I made in that one. The tricky part was some of the 3D elements, specifically his robotic part on his left arm. So he's got, like, I used some, like, molding clay to represent, I guess, sort of like the holder area, or like the brace for the bionic arm. A little bit of clay going up the arm. Okay, Harold, can we refocus that? Thank you, Harold. And also, an arm strap for where the mechanical demon's hand is supposed to be, and the hand is also there. I was almost tempted to, like, make it slightly big with molding clay, but I decided to go against that, because the hand is basically the same size as, like, a regular hand, so that worked out in the end. So that worked out pretty well. The legs, they were pretty easy to make as well. The belt, like the belt strap on him, I was almost tempted to try and make that a 3D piece, but I was already doing that with like the brace parts, so I decided to just, like, go ahead and say like, I'll make the belt loop, I'll paint on the belt loop, and let's do the resting clay. That way it works out for everybody in general. The face, as you can tell, like, almost there, but at the same time, not really. But in general, I was satisfied. I'm satisfied to do this minifigure, and I'm glad I got the chance to do it. Okay, let's move on to our next minifigure. So, next up on our list is the Lost One. I won't lie when I say that I was feeling a little reluctant to do this in the Searcher, and mainly because as I saw them as, like, plain black ones. There wasn't, like, any, like, real detailing to, like, do. And when I saw, like, of how other people, they made their minifigures, like, Lost Ones and Searchers, they just did them as plain black ones. But then after, like, really thinking about it, I thought, like, maybe I can get a little creative with this. And after doing some brainstorming, I finally came up with the results to do for the Lost One. So, for this guy, it's mainly, like, clay. His body is mainly clay, because the body I used is a skeleton piece. Because when you look at the lost ones, their bodies are very similar to that of, like, demonic Bendy. Indeed, they're very, like, skeletal, so you can almost, like, see their bones and stuff. They're very, 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 very skinny. So I decided, like, how could I take that and do it as Lego? So I decided to take a skeleton body that I had lying around, put some clay on, like, the feet, on the body, and on the hands. The hands were actually a little weird to make. I had to do it, like, with the butcher guy. Not exactly like it, but, the original body, it had, like, the classic ball joints, but, the arms for the skeleton, they were gone. I don't know where they went. They're probably long gone, but, what I did as a substitute was, I measured out, I think I took the body from, like, the animatronic Bendy and sort of, like, measured out of how long the rods should be. I cut those to about appropriate size, glued those on, then once I waited the glue to completely dry, I then put on some, like, battle droid arms, put some molding clay on those, and now, these can bend and whole 9 yards. The face, I almost went with the route for, like, the top of the head would be completely, like, regular Lego, and I would, like, try to like, put some molding clay, like, underneath to do, like, the little squid things. It looks like an ood. Like Doctor Who, the ood. But I ended up just doing, like, full clay on top of the head all the way off, and then taking an exo knife and carving out for, like, the tendrils will be. So, for a minifigure that I kind of didn't want to build, this actually came out pretty well. Well, now then, let's look at our last minifigure. And last up for the minifigures is, of course, the Searcher. This one, again, I felt reluctant to do it because it would have been just plain black. But then after doing some brainstorming, I thought, like, I should try this route. So, when doing this figure, I had to go through my drawer and figure out, like, okay, what's a body I can use without some legs? And I found, like, a pretty damaged body that I could modify a little bit. So I took that, and what I did was, he didn't have any legs, but what I did was I took the piece, then I put some clay underneath, like, a pads to sort of, like, represent of how, like, the ink is, like, in the ground, and for the arms, I really wanted to make the arms, like, represents that sort of, like, lonky length that they had. So, like, I kept the arms the same, including the hands. The hands are somewhere inside them. But I took, like, some strips of clay, put them in the arms, and then sculpted out some hands, and put those on, and this came out as results. The face, hang on, let me first get rid of the helmet. The face, it was a little bit tricky. I don't know if you guys can tell, but what I tried to do was, like, first put some clay on. Originally, this thing had, like, the giant mouth. The giant mouth was on to, like, really represent, like, that long gaping mouth that each Searcher has. Then the little nose, and then, like, I then stuck some clay in there, and clay in between, took an exo knife, then carved out for, like, where the eyes are supposed to be. He can't move his head because the mouth is glued onto the body, so he has to stay looking forward. But that's okay. I don't think the Searchers, like, really move their heads. And, why he's wearing a hard helmet? Because this represents of, like, the boss Searcher. This represents that this can also be the boss Searcher, whether he's, like, wearing this helmet, this hat, or, like, this hat, or any hat in general. I chose to go with this route because I didn't want to waste time building the same figure such as this one. And that's sort of a thing that's with me on my channel. That's a few things I can make exceptions for, but in general, I don't want to do repeats. I don't want to do, like, continuous repeats of certain minifigures, because it's literally, like, the same thing, anything that I'm making over and over again, and I don't have time, and I don't have patience for that sort of thing. So if I'm going to be making a minifigure, I want to make it, like, good, and I want it to, like, be the one. Occasionally, I'll make a few exceptions, but otherwise, I'm not doing a giant Searcher. This is going to be, like, the Searcher boss. So, I'm glad to have gotten this done out of the way, and I think that this Searcher came out, like, better than I expected to. too. I almost thought that this was just gonna be one of those, like, I won't do this, but I decided, like, you know what, let's just go ahead and do this since we're doing everything else. So, before we wrap the video up, let's take a little peek at the background. The Chapter 4 background was a little bit more trickier to build than the Chapter 3 one. Because Chapter 3 I had, like, an idea of what to go with. At Chapter 4, it was a little bit more complicated to do. I had a couple of ideas. At first I thought, like, let's do, like, the mini-games in the backgrounds to do, like, the park or maybe the cages. But I really thought, like, let's do Bertram Pete Mod instead. Which, side notes, I'm glad no one asked me to build a Bertram Pete Mod minifigure. Because, how do I take this and turn it into something like this? I have no idea how. At least with the Nightmare Run bosses, I can kind of see, like, what I can do with that. With this, I have no clue what to do. So, as you can see, like, he's got the sign up there, welcome to Bendy Hill. I really wanted to put up that one up there to, like, show the environment of each one. It's not exactly built like the way in the game, because I had to make a couple of sacrifices. For this one, though, as you can see, like, he's got, like, at least 2 of the cart things. They're not actually, like, carts for people can ride them in. I just merely put those there because it's supposed to be, like, a background piece. For, like, figures, not an actual, like, ride thing. Oh, geez, I'm moving the background, too. But, as you can also see, like, still got the posters, the cutout there, and the crack in the wall. On the background, there's a hole back there where you can see his head. Styrofoam is underneath here. To do, like, the base of it. I didn't exactly... and I didn't realize that I didn't get it exactly correct until after, like, I finished it. But this was, like, as close as I could get to it, like, with the materials I was working with for what Bertram was supposed to look like. And, can we, like, get a closer look at his head, maybe? Hang on. Let me try to do, like, a little lighting magic here, because I want to... Okay, we can do it like this. Move our camera up here. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see that fully properly, but this was supposed to be like, where you could still see his face and his mouth. I had to check out the head a couple of times to like make sure I was getting things properly and correctly. That's really like what his head is supposed to be like, and like the head is made of clay. So, when getting it correct, it was like, perfect! Alright, now things are all good. Good. And I'm actually pretty satisfied that I went with just, doing, like, a arts and crafts sort of materials thing instead of Lego. Mainly because, like, with Lego, I either A, don't have enough parts, or B, don't have the right parts to build something like this. And I don't have, like, the right parts to build, like, a carnival ride such as this. But in a way, the carnival ride failed miserably, so I guess in a way this shows Bertram's, like, incompetence along with Joey Drew's stupidity of how Bendy Land turned out. Sorry, I had to do that. The joke was there. But anyways, for, like, future projects, with environment stuff like this, they're mainly gonna be like background pieces, and that's what LEGO Arts is supposed to do. It's like combining like Lego bricks along with like everyday materials. More arts for the whole family. Now then, let's go ahead and wrap things up. And that's it for this episode of LEGO Arts. I literally have no idea what the next episode will be about, which is sort of like a continuation for the series. But for, like, future projects in general, I'm still working on, like how I'll proceed for Kingdom Hearts Wave 5. That one's still underway. And I got an idea for another project in mind. I don't know if I'll do, like, more waves of it. I'll do, like, one wave of it, and I'll see, like, your guys' reactions, see if you guys want me to do more of it, and we'll go from there. But, I still have a couple of other showcases that I can show you guys in the future, but but for now, we'll settle down for this episode. And again, if I receive, like, a few comments, continue the quote, hashtag Nightmare Run, I will see how I can take the bosses from Nightmare Run and turn those into, like, Lego format, like Lego minifigures, and we'll go from there. And we'll go from there. We're on our way to the road to Chapter 5 of Bendy and the Ink Machine. And I might try to, like, see how much Bendy stuff I could stick in the video. stick when I do like chapter 5 as like a background thing. And in general, this is pretty much covering up with the basis of Bendy. I was really excited to do Allison Angel and Tom. The Lost One and the Searcher came out better than I expected. It did. And Bertram, you're doing good being a background piece, Bertram. Good job. And we'll go. And yeah, pretty much we're all done. All done for now. And so I'll wait to see you guys in the next video. And don't worry, this most likely will not be the last craziest thing that I'll build. I got a lot more in the future. For now, though, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, hit that like button, comment below what you think, share this to your friends, subscribe to me on YouTube, follow me on Twitch. And here's a half of the road. Ow! Thank you guys, and I'll see you next time when the ice moon rises.